itch in my back, and I'm
Kelly, every part of your body starts to itch. This bothers you, that bothers you. There's nothing.
Oh, you want to take one?
Oh,
Can I get one for my parents?
sure.
I'm doing some video here too.
By the way, I was terribly disappointed when they first got in touch with me because I thought they were going to offer me the part. I mean, I thought that I was going back into showbiz. They made up a little bit by giving me one line out there in the audience. Like that. By the way, an incredible trip that I just took. I thought of my mother, my father, the Morosco Theater down on 45th Street. All of it. I mean, it all there.
I can
everything.
tell you were moved, and it was lovely.
God, it was overwhelming. I mean, it's just overwhelming.
I'm glad it was a great experience.
It's well, I mean, think we're talking about 3/4 of the country, and you could hardly go on a nostalgia trip any better than sitting here for 2 hours,
Right.
and hearing those lines and remembering this and this, and remembering the people I work with, and my folks were friends at Thornton Wilder and going up to visit them. And of course, everything that was said would start you out in a new thing.
And your dad was in the ensemble, right?
Huh?
Your dad was in the ensemble.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he was the lead singer in the choir.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
And so it was a great experience.
I'm so glad.
Now,
I'm so
when
glad.
they have the 100th, I hope that they'll give me another shot at it. Because
Well, maybe
it's
we
been a
can
while.
have you play the Undertaker during the 100th anniversary. Right?
Yeah, why not?
So I'm gonna have.
Now, are they
your-
gonna send me some of these pictures?
I am absolutely going. I am in charge of these pictures. This is my
Oh,
camera.
well.
So none of me.
Where did you perform? I was in the original. Have I ever got a lot? I mean, if you want our town, we opened at the McCarthy Theater.
Oh.
And by the way, 50 years ago, 25 years ago, they did the revival of our town at the McCarthy Theater. Somebody found out I lived here, so they had me come down for the 50th. So every 25 years, I go to another showing of
Did
our
you go
town.
on to do other acting?
What's that?
Did you do other acting?
Oh, I was
your
in
career?
business 13. I was in 2 Pulitzer Prize plays.
Really?
Yeah, I was in The Old Maid in 1934, and then I picked up this one in 38. In fact, when I joined the Navy when I was 17 during the war, I was the only actor in the world who had been in the original cast of 2 Pulitzer Prize plays. And of course, this one outshines the other one overwhelmingly. But there are a lot of changes, and you try to understand how they can handle some of this. A lot of things that are said here is pretty politically incorrect. and you just wonder where you're going to go with that. And I had fun. They asked me if I would do the line from the audience, and so I had fun doing it.
By the way, when you did the line, I thought to myself, because I saw it was in the playbill, that you were here doing a cameo. I said, I wonder if that's the gentleman. That
Did you really?
Yeah. I said, I wonder, and then I'm glad they introduced you.
Sure. Be more than happy to do it. By the way, there are two of us alive from the show. See, we had the 4 kids. We had the 2 kids that delivered the papers, Joe Kroll and Cy Kroll. And then we had Rebecca and myself. We were the 4 kids. Now, all the rest of the cast would all be 100 years old or more now. So all of the adults are gone long since. Billy Redfield and Raymond Rowe, who were the 2 other guys, they've died quite some years ago. They both had a decent history in Hollywood. And the gal that played Rebecca, Marilyn Erskine, is living in Hollywood.
And then after I take your photo, I'm going to impose on you to take mine. Sure.
And that's my signature. I'm sorry about that.
That's this gentleman. I wish I had one.
Oh, is that yours? No, I got mine.
I think we can.
Hopefully, this is over there.
Okay, thank you very
It
much.
was an honor.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
They just want to get this. Now, if I can just get a family photo here.
Sure. Where's the kiddo gone?
I'm sorry?
The other Wally Webb is
He
gone?
did.
Oh, I would love to have him in the picture.
See if you can. How far?
It's not. It's really not. Okay, great. Thank you.
3 generations.
3 generations. And before you leave, I need to get your son and grandson's names because I will need to. Now, if I could impose, I would like a photo of myself.
Oh, sure. There you go.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
It's been a great trip tonight. I'll tell you that.
Can you take another?
Yes. Was that too fast?
Yeah.
Thank you
Hey,
so
Scott, do you
much.
mind if I get one with your dad?
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind, would you?
Oh,
Would that be all right?
friend.
Of course. All right.
It's recording?
Well, you don't realize how tall
so-
he is until you stand directly next to him.
Oh, careful, stay.
Is it taking
You're like the
pictures?
referee at a basketball game.
I think
Good
it.
one.
I think you got a few there.
Oh, yeah, that'll.
A little too cropped.
Oh, that's fine.
Email and all
I will get it.
Yeah.
Scott, I'm sure has
Yeah.
it.
that. Well, let me give it to you just in
Okay,
case.
great.
Scott and Adrian.
Scott. Okay. Yes, you will get copies. This will go on Facebook.
In this
I
order.
don't think I slept. I was tired.
And thank you too for your service.
For the what?
For your service, thank you too, because that's even more important in our town. Don't tell Thornton Wilder I said that.
So what do you think, Adrian?
I don't know if you're recording or taking a picture.
I am recording.
It's good.
You are live.
Oh, Lord, I'm not, you know what I'm
I
gonna
see a
do?
rainbow
I'm gonna
through
have
that
this
light.
up to you.
Uh-huh.
Bright light in my
Yeah?
face.
Mixing up in my head.
What'd you think about the show tonight?
It was good.
It was good.
Send it right.
I think it was well done, right?
Yep.
think it was.
But I'm starting to go
Well,
blind, so I'm going to have
if
to
it
keep
comes
away
that
from that
way,
light.
or you can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and get it.
Scott, is this your dad?
Yeah, in case they.
you're the grandson.
Child and a son.
Have you done this show?
In case you want to send anything, I'm gonna give you the jersey.
I will do that.
And
Matthew's back.
Thank you. I bet you've seen it more than once. You've never seen it?
you saw it with me when we went down to MacArthur. Didn't you drive me down to MacArthur Theater when I did the same thing at the MacArthur on the 50th anniversary.
Wow. I've seen part of the end or something.
I tell kids I do a lot of lectures at the schools, and not about this. That's what I do. I talk about news media and things like that.
you're right.
Yeah, but when I talk to the kids out there, I tell them, I throw in some concepts about the life and what you're supposed to be doing. One of the things I tell them all the time, you want to be a celebrity, just live long enough. I mean, who would have given a damn if I was in our town 20 years afterwards? But when you got to 50 at the MacArthur Theater,
Yeah, right.
suddenly, oh my Lord, we'll bring him in. Now we're 75. I just can't wait for 100. By the way,
I'll do that.
he did a great job.
I'll do that.
I watched him very close because
Give him any notes you feel like.
I'm still blinded by that light. Not too harsh.
I want to get a picture, if we can, with my son and grandson. Yeah, sure.
And boy too.
So was Jed Harris as mean as everyone purported him to be?
Ask him.
I've heard the story. Yeah, yeah.
Story. True story. You want to know how tough that guy was?
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
mean? We're down at MacArthur Theater.
Is that where you
That's where
tried
we
out?
started. Yeah,
tried
we
out?
started at MacArthur, right? And we were there, I don't know, 3 performances, 5, I don't
really?
remember. And of course, you know what it would be like when you're leading up to the first night.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going over
And
everything.
it's all kind of happening
everything.
first
Oh,
night,
my
no
God,
previews,
right?
nothing, yeah.
So now you have any going, comes 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Now it's midnight. And we're all out in the theater, and somebody turns to Jed Harris and says, "Hey, Jed, you know we got 4 kids here tonight." And Jed Harris says, "They're in the cast, aren't they?" And honest to God, the four of us, I don't know how late, we worked till 3 in the morning. The 4 kids were all on the ground. There was, thank God, if I remember right, there was carpeting. We were all on the ground,
Just
under the
sleep.
seats. All 4 kids. And that was Jed Harris. I mean, when you've heard
a nice
how
guy.
tough he was, yeah, he was.
Well, Olivier based his Richard III on him, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he said it was a combination of Jed Harris and the Big Bad Wolf. Apparently, there were similarities.
Well, I mean, he was an absolute. Hit the number. I mean, God, he was hell to work with. But hey, he put together one hell of a show.
And how were you, like 9 or 10 when you did that?
I was, well, I was born in 26, so we opened up on what, December 37 or January 30. I think
38,
we opened
yeah.
up January 38.
That's
And
what
so
I've read.
at that point in the game, I would have been 11. Wow.
Mine is simply Scott Wiley.
And how was Frank Craven? Was he a nice man?
He was okay, 100% okay, except that he was his own person. And so
Kind of kept
he
to himself.
wasn't much for
No, I can do
being,
it. It's a good.
an 11-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But he wasn't bad. I mean, he was, always polite and nice and friendly, but he was sort of aloof.
Yeah, you didn't get to know him very well.
And
Seems to be correct.
my folks in Thornton Wild, and we used to drive every once in a while up to Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
And visit, yeah.
Wow.
And so I had, but this thing is more than just the original play. We opened at McCarter, we went into New York, we worked about a year in New York, right?
Yeah.
When we ran out of people to come to the show in New York, we went on the road for a year.
So how long did you do it?
Oh, I don't know, probably close to a year. We went all over the country. Wow. Now, not only that, but when we got back, we went on, another few months went by and we went on the horse circuit, so I worked another 3 or 4 months with it. And then on top of that, the last show I did before I went out to kill people in the Pacific was Our Town revival at the City Center.
Oh, yeah.
So between the original and the road show,
Right.
and the Vorse circuit and the revival, I mean, a big part of the Depression was taken up by Our Town, keeping me working.
Yeah,
all the
sure.
time. And I worked all the time. I worked for 13 years. I don't think I was out of work more than a couple months all the time.
And at what point did you stop
I
acting?
didn't like my name to be put.
When I went to the Navy.
Oh, you were in the Navy, wow.
Yeah, I enlisted when I was 17 in the
Wiley
Navy,
screaming.
and never looked back.
Wow.
I had a 13-year career behind me, 2 years in vaudeville, 11 on Broadway, and a lot of radio, and I walked away.
Everyone was very impressed with your speaking voice when you. Wait.
They didn't need that mic. Yeah.
Need the microphone. No, because a lot of times when you
Of course.
Was there any drinking in Grover's Corner?
Well, you have to remember, I did 2 years of vaudeville, working houses
Big
bigger
house.
than this,
Oh, lots
with
bigger.
no sound system. With
No,
no
yeah,
sound
nothing
system.
at all.
I had to stand there as a 5-year-old kid. I'd blast out and get the whole show.
What-
That's why I have the voice I have.
You still got it. That's great.
So far, so good. I told her something, and she laughed at me when I told her. I told some gal the other day, heard that I was 87 years old, and she said, "You look a lot younger." And I said, "That's really nice," until I thought about it. What the hell good does it do you to look younger? You're 87 years old.
Well, you look great.
Well, I sometimes pass myself off for 79. It's easier to pick up.
You got to do what you
You
got to do.
do what you have to do.
I told him it would work.
Absolutely.
The first show I had.
He's actually 65.
Amazing.
I have,
Amazing.
Benjamin Button disease.
The what?
Benjamin
I have
Button disease.
Benjamin Button disease.
Did you see that movie, the guy that gets old?
Oh, reverse.
Younger as he goes. Now, I want to picture you with me
Yeah.
and my grandson. Come on over.
If you're doing it.
My first show, I was 8, and I remember I had it during tech. I was staying up till 1 in the morning, like, hours go this late?
He's going the same road I did. The same road a lot of us did. We did radio.
Yeah.
We all of us did radio.
How long did you do vaudeville?
About 2 years, the end of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
In other
I
words,
did,
what was happening at that point, vaudeville was dying. The talkies had come in 27.
Thanks, Matthew.
What?
Taken over
When
all
they,
those-
they took over so fast. All the silence were ended within a year.
and then they would still have an occasional show with a movie, right?
Yeah, and that's what they did. Basically, when I worked vaudeville, there'd be, like, instead of 8 acts, there'd be 4 or 5 and
A feature.
a movie.
Right.
And that was the death. Yeah, I mean, vaudeville's dying. And then I was lucky because I don't know if they still have it. The Gary law in New York makes it illegal for a kid to be on a stage after 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah,
Was
if
that-
you're
that-
under 7.
For under.
If you were under 7, you could not be on a stage after 8, which meant you couldn't do a Broadway show.
Yeah, sure.
The Gary Act was dumped somewhere, I don't know, 34. And the first show I did on Broadway was The Old Maid, and we won the Pulitzer Prize.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No, were your folks in show business?
Yeah.
Is that right?
My dad was an actor, and, you know, had been in vaudeville. My mom, for a brief time, was in vaudeville. She was a ballet dancer.
Right.
And a good one. And then she moved into the vaudeville end of it. And so I grew up.
Born in the trunk.
I was born almost in the trunk, right. And
What age did you start?
5.
Wow.
5 and about 2 years, and so when I would turn 7, we moved into the.
So you were, by the time you got to our town, you were an old hand. You were.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Long
and
resume.
then to show you what happens, see, one thing carries to another. I join the Navy, I go up and I get training at Sampson. When I finish the training, they give you 5 days to go home and say goodbye to
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
and then come back, and now you're gonna be assigned, right? So I go back, oh man, I can't wait, I'm gonna be at sea, I'm gonna be fighting those Japs
Yeah.
in the Pacific, or going over to the Germans, or fighting them. And I come back, and we went to the receiving station, and they would give you orders every few hours. Here's a list of guys that are going to this. Here's a list of here.
Right.
Well, list comes out, me, I'm one of the guys on a huge assignment to a new aircraft carrier. Okay, great, I'm waiting, we're all gonna leave tomorrow morning.
Right.
And they suddenly call my name, and I go into the office, and I said, what do you want? And they said, well, we got orders. I said, well, I'm on the carrier. And they said, no, we took you off of that. And I said, what do you want now? What do you want to do? And they said, here's your orders. And they gave me, among other things, they gave me my service record, which is very rare that any man,
Yeah.
enlisted man, ever
Would have a
carried
whole-
his own.
yeah, exactly.
It would be usually in the hands of an officer who was taking you. They gave me my service record and a ticket to Washington, D.C. And they said, you go down there and go to the desk at the station, and they'll take, and I said, well, where are you sending? Well, you're stationed in Anacostia. I said, what the hell is Anacostia? It's part of D.C.
Oh, is it? I was
There
going to
is
say.
in Anacostia, D.C. No, but very few people know that, but it is a.
Anaconda, Montana. That's as close as I can think of.
So what it turned out when I went there, I was stationed at Little Hollywood. Little Hollywood was a section of naval intelligence across from the air station, and all of us there, we were all actors or whatever,
show folk.
and we would make propaganda films and training films. And since they had to give us something else to do, we were the security detail for the entire base. And because we would shoot the films on a weekend, every other weekend we were off. I
on
could
leave?
go back to New York.
Wow.
And 19, because they had so many of us to guard the place, that we only stood 5 hours watch a day. So
Works for
during
me.
the week, five hours of duty, 19 hours of liberty, where there were 8 girls to a guy. And then on every other weekend, I'd go home. It was a hard war, let me tell you. This
Yeah,
was
it's
not
tough.
easy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And just think back, did you ever hear of any Germans or Japanese getting as far as Washington?
No, your
They
job
did.
well done.
But what I did do is every Monday morning, I would go to personnel, and I would say, I am not going to tell my grandchildren that I was in Washington for World War II, and I wanted to
go
volunteer for sea duty. I went there month after month. I think 3-4 months I was down there. Finally, I walked in one day, and they said, "All right, we're tired
let
of
you
looking
go."
at you. Where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, go to the Pacific." And they said,
And did you?
yeah, I got a star for Okinawa.
No kidding.
Yeah, they sent me.
You fought Okinawa. That's
Yeah.
huge, gigantic. See,
Well, they didn't hurt me. They knew better.
Were you on what kind of ship were you on?
I was on a LST, amphibious.
Oh!
And basically,
My dad was a jarhead, so he would talk all about
all about how we.
how being on like on an
so-
LST was like basically a death sentence.
Hey, Boyd, Aaron's, what would meet Aaron's parents, and I know they would
Oh,
like
I'm
to meet.
sure. Sure. Erin, our Emily's parents.
How you doing, honey? You did good.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
No, you guys did good, but I hope everybody is happy. You made me cry. I mean, I'm telling you, I was on such a nostalgia trip watching this. I was going back 75 years and thinking of everything that ever happened. In other words, I thought
Well, you
more
will
about-
laugh because when we came upstairs, all the dead people go, "He's so right." As soon as I sit down, I itch. It was so funny. They all were like, they're like, he nailed it. He said, we sit down and we go, "Oh, I itch. I've got my nose." Oh, and they sit there for 35 minutes itching. Yeah.
Oh, our Miss Gibbs has got a terrible cold, and last night she was going.
I need to blow my nose. I gotta breathe.
By the way,
She's
above
imploding.
all that young lad, he's the one that's tough. I invented when I was doing that role. I did that role for
2 years.
2 years.
2 or 3 years.
Half an hour. There you go. Son of a gun. Half an hour, right? I used to sit, and they had me in the corner. If you take a look at any pictures.
Yeah,
I do. You're down in the back.
It's on the ground plan in the French
In the
script.
back. But during that time, I did something that nobody else in the world knew and wouldn't know now unless I told them. I invented the Little League. There was no such thing as a Little League. When I was a kid that age, our
Sandball
folks
ball.
gave us a ball and a glove if we were lucky.
Kicked you
And
outside.
we all went out in Central Park where I went to play, and we played ball. We didn't have any adults near us. We didn't have anything. We played with bats, and if they broke, you knew how to drill a hole and put a nail and then tape it up. We taped up balls after the cover was knocked off. And so I used to sit there, and I would invent this place in my little world.
While you were dead.
Yeah, every night I would go and I played on an actual ball field with grandstand and a dugout and a rack of bats that were all nice and uniforms and the whole thing, which was like unheard of then. It was basically what I dreamt up, what I imagined.
While you were sitting in the cemetery.
Little League. And I used to play it pitch by pitch. I'd come out, okay, let's see, oh yeah, that's right, I'm at the end of the third inning.
I wonder what Matthew's invented. Maybe.
I don't even want
Because he rolls movies.
Yeah, he told me this.
He does movies in his head. How
Anyway,
many
you guys
performances
are
did you
really
do?
good.
Oh, thank
Really,
you.
really good.
Oh, it's so special that you're here tonight. I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
By the way, I will say one other thing about my involvement. I'm not taking credit now. It's just like World War II. There's two things that I tell people the facts and let them make their own decision. As far as World War II, people ask me what my service. I always point 3 facts. That's it. Facts, that's all I want to deal with. Fact number 1, there were thousands of battles in World War II. Fact number 2, I only fought in a single battle, the Battle of Okinawa.
That's a good one.
Fact number 3, after the only battle I fought in, the enemy surrendered. Those are the facts. No, I'm not making claims. I'm not making
any claims, but those are the facts.
Coincidence.
Those are the facts.
Coincidence is
Thousands of
possible. You know, I mean, you can't rule it out. Now, the other fact is, I played Wally with 3 Emilys all three of whom were fairly well-known actresses when they got the part to be my sister.
Well, that's right.
And I'm not making claims again, but Martha Scott, Dorothy McGuire, and Teresa Wright. 1, 2, 3.
Teresa Wright? You worked with Teresa Wright?
She played Emily.
Is that right? I didn't know Teresa Wright had ever played. Dorothy McGuire I knew.
Okay.
And Martha Scott is always
the
one
original
year.
cast, Martha Scott, The Road Show, Dorothy McGuire. When we went to the Bourse Circuit and places like that,
Right.
it was Teresa Wright.
Wow.
So I had all three.
How many performances did you do? Have you forgotten? How many performances did you do?
Oh my God, I've never figured, but I did the original in New York for a year,
Probably
roughly. I
pushing
did
1,000
the
is what I
road
guess.
show for another approximately a year. Then we did the Bourse Circuit that lasted another 3 or 4 months. And then I was in the revival at the City Center, was the last job I had before I joined the Navy.
Did Frank Craven do it, the stage manager in that revival
Yeah.
too? Yeah, that's what I thought.
By the way, one of the George in the revival was Montgomery Clift.
I didn't know that.
And,
I'm dying.
and Martha was my buddy. God bless her. She did the revival. She came to do the revival. By that time, she was a pretty big Hollywood
Right,
star.
yeah, sure.
And so I was always Wally to her. I mean, that was it.
Yeah,
And
sure.
She loved me as just being, you know how some women just love kids, right? And Montgomery, every night, there'd be somebody from Hollywood or some big shot would come backstage after the show to see Martha. And Monty Clift always found some excuse to come to her dressing room. And, hey, Martha, I just want, you have somebody here. Oh, you have two directors and a producer. I don't want to interrupt. And so what we used to do to keep him from just getting totally out of control, Martha used to have me sit in the dressing room and talk to her. And so it made it a little harder for
him to get in the door. Oh, isn't that funny?
Anyhow, listen, I got to let everybody go. It's great talking to all
Yeah, it's
of
been
you.
wonderful.
Thank you
And
so
you
much.
did a great job.
Can I get a picture with you too? I would love a picture with you too.
Wonderful job, boy. Really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Here we go.
And you're going to send me pictures of all these pictures, right?
Absolutely.
I want it too.
Absolutely. Kimberly will have them. And then maybe we can introduce.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes. Emily's, Aaron's
Aaron's mom and dad.
mind being introduced to them.
These are my parents.
Charles Wiley.
Came up from South Carolina today.
South Carolina. I lectured now. And for the last 30, I was a foreign correspondent for years, a military correspondent, and then I became a lecturer. And one of the places I spoke last year was
Are you learning some new stuff?
Charles. Is that where you're from?
No, but I went to school there. I went to undergrad there. Yeah, I love it.
What did he do after the Navy? He was a lecturer. He's obviously a lecturer now. Is that mostly what he did?
They had a, how do they call it? MOWW puts together these youth leadership conferences. And they pick wild places. What a life. And one for basically, I guess, the Carolinas, maybe Georgia. They held it
Oh, yeah,
on
but the
board.
famous-
So I spent a few days, I talked to the kids the whole time. So I spent a couple of days on the carrier. I did some talks in Israel. So I spoke to the Rotary and Chamber. I don't remember.
Get him.
When did you come?